I'm still waiting for some sort of logical explanation for the number of sort of fake or spam accounts on Twitter, and Twitter is refusing to tell us. So this just seems like a strange thing.
Wait, sorry, are they refusing to tell you, or you don't think they really know? I mean,
they claim that they do know.
Yeah.
And they claim that they've got this complex methodology that only they can understand. If they in fact vociferously claiming less than 5% of fake or spam accounts, but in fact it is 4 or 5 times that number, or perhaps 10 times that number, this is a big deal. It's not this. It's sort of like if you said, okay, I agree to buy your house. You say the house has less than 5% termites. That's an acceptable number. But if it turns out it is 90% termites, that's not okay. You know, it's not the same house. This house is made mostly of termites. Termites leave, literally your house will disappear because it's mostly made of termites. In making the Twitter offer, I was obviously reliant upon the truth and accuracy of their public filings. And if those filings are not accurate, it's simply you can't pay the same price for something that is much worse than they claimed. The more questions I ask, the more my concerns grow. So, you know, at the end of the day, acquiring it has to be fixable, and fixable, you know, with reasonable time frame and without revenues collapsing along the way and all that sort of stuff. And so, you know, I really need to see how these things are being calculated, and it can't be some deep mystery that is like more complex than the human soul or something like that. It's got to be, you know, I think we can apply the scientific method to this and try to figure out what's really going on. And you know, Twitter's revenue is primarily dependent, I think 70% or some of that order, on brand advertising as opposed to specific purchase advertising. This is a big deal because brand advertising is not. There's not a purchase that results from that. So it's basically, you know, how much mind share, or like basically if you're a big company, how often do they hear your name, as opposed to something where you can directly measure the outcome. So that means that they're somewhat going on faith. And if that faith is undermined or reduced because of the reality of the situation coming to the fore, then Twitter's revenue will be significantly impaired. And that's a major problem. Like I said, I was reliant upon their public filings. So to the degree that their public, and this is normal for a public company. If you make a formal filing, that is what investors are relying on, whether they are making an acquisition offer or simply buying some shares. So the accuracy of these filings is important, whether you're buying one share or the whole company. And so if these filings are inaccurate, or if they're sort of potentially blatant, it's a big deal. For those that have used WeChat, I think WeChat's actually a good model. If you're in China, it's basically, you kind of live on WeChat. It does everything. It's sort of like Twitter plus PayPal plus a whole bunch of other things, and all roll into one with actually a great interface. And it's really an excellent app. And we don't have anything like that outside of China. So I think such an app would be really useful. And just like the utility of it, of sort of a spam-free thing where you can make comments, you can post videos, you can, you know, I think it's important for content creators to have a revenue share. Now this does not need to be done on Twitter. It could be done from something that's created from scratch. So it could be something new. But I think this thing needs to exist, whether it is converting Twitter to be the sort of like kind of all-encompassing app that, like I said, everything from digital town square where important ideas are debated, you know, maximally trusted and inclusive, and at a point where you sort of have a high trust situation, then payments, whether it's crypto or fiat, can make a lot of sense. We just want something that's incredibly useful and that people love using. But it's either convert Twitter to that or start something new. Those are the two. But it does need to happen somehow. My default inclination is to start things from scratch. I mean, I don't buy things like there's still this sort of, yeah, like SpaceX was started from scratch. You know, in the case of Tesla, it was like 5 people. There's still this guy, Mark Eberhard, who's the worst guy I've ever worked with, who tries to claim like sole credit essentially for creating Tesla. And if he's so damn great, why didn't he just go, create another car company when he was fired? But anyway, I just want to work on the technology and the product and have someone else be the CEO and sort of run the business operations, because I just like working on technology and product and design. And also I was like doing SpaceX, at the time, and our rockets were blowing up. So it seemed like, okay, this is like, I always wanted to an electric car company. This is how I can have my cake and eat it too. That was a huge mistake and fundamentally a moral error. In the end, I had to friggin' be CEO, and I didn't want to be, basically. But it's either that or the company's going to die. So we started with really just nothing, and the T0 prototype from AC Propulsion. That's the precursor to Tesla. To be 100% clear, once again, when we created Tesla, when I joined, there were no employees, there was no intellectual property, there was no prototype, there was no nothing.
Yeah.